Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Where my girls at? Where my girls at? It's going down. It is going down. It's going down on this Make It Happen Monday. Make It Happen Monday. I am your host today, Crisette Ellis from the D, and you are listening to We Got Issues on 910 AM, the Superstation, based right here in Detroit. But of course, you can hear it all over the world. And of course, you know, we come to you Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We bring you some laughter, some light, and we endeavor to bring some lessons. And you know what? We've been doing this, oh my goodness, Glory, for over a year and a half. I can't believe that we have been doing this show for over a year and a half. And you know what? We have learned. Yes. Give ourselves a big hand. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. We so appreciate Michael Dowdell and Jalen Austin, who are our board operators. They have done a fantastic job of helping us. You know, we were newbies. I mean, we were getting on an hour and a half before trying to get it right. And now, oh my goodness, you don't even want to know. But we are so thrilled that we get this opportunity to come and to share with you. We have so much fun hanging out with the girlfriends. We've learned so much from each other, and guess what? You've enlightened us as well. And so today, I know those of you that are watching us live on the Force of Friendship Facebook page or the 910 AM Facebook page, you're probably saying, where the girls at? Where the girls at? I know, right? So today it's only Gloria and I. We are hanging out today. We're going to hold it down. We're sending some thoughts and prayers to Sabrina, who was going to be on the show, but she wasn't feeling really good. So Sabrina, we're thinking about you. And I know you're listening. You are absolutely listening to the show. And of course, giving a shout out to Caterina Harris Earl, our girl on the West Coast, who also could not be with us on today. And see, that's the beauty of having four people. Two can be gone, but you still have two that's present, that's holding it down. So Gloria, talk to us real quickly. We're going to go into our topic for today. We have our guest that is here, but just really tell us quickly what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. The happy Monday. The weekend is over. The weekend was fabulous. The weather's incredible. I know it's burning up all over the United States, but it is great in the Baltimore area. And I personally am so excited about this topic. I really want to invite people to lean into this and tell people if they really have been watching what we've been watching in other parts of the globe in the Ukraine, this would be the time to invite somebody who you've been in conversation with to lean in and listen to what we have to talk about on We Got Issues. The topics that we're bringing you guys, have loved so much of the energy over the weekend, Chris said, about people who have listened to the show and have gained so much from it. So I'm excited to go right into it. There's a lot of news happening, but we're not going to be the news station today. We're going to have it right and tight right here. I hand it back to you.
Absolutely. You guys. Yes. Well, today, I am so excited that we are going to have an opportunity to talk about this. This is something that has been in the news for, going on. I think in February will be 1 year. Most of you know that Russia invaded Ukraine in February 24th of 2022. And every day that we've watched the news cycle, our hearts have gone out to the to the Ukrainians who have been displaced. They've had to flee their home, everything that they know, to go to other countries. And then the many lives that have been lost, including children and innocent, people. And of course, we know that is the collateral damage of war. And so we have talked about it on many occasions here on the show, as briefly, and talked about how heartbreaking it was, everything that's going on over there. But on today, we have a special guest that is with us, and he is from Ukraine. He is a pastor there. His name is Pastor Ilash, and we're going to have Dorothy bring him on so we can see his face. He is here with us on today, and he is coming from Ukraine, and he has firsthand or front seat into everything that is going on right there in the Ukraine. I'm going to have him kind of give you a little bit information about himself, but he was at our church on Sunday, and he shared his testimony. And Greater Grace Temple, of course, those of you that know Greater Grace Temple, that's right here in the city of Detroit, know that we are a community church, and we are always doing, our part to reach out across the waters to help those who are in need. And so it was led on my husband's heart, Bishop Ellis, to try to find somebody in the Ukraine that he could help send some money to. And so I'm not going to get into the details of how all of that happened. But what happened was we met Pastor Alex Ilash. And when I tell you, his story is absolutely amazing. And so I am going to turn it over to Pastor Ilash just to tell us a little bit about himself, because we know we'll be coming up on a break. And so we want to get as much information in each segment as possible. And by all means, if you have a question for Pastor Alex, give us a call at 313-778-7600, because again, this isn't secondhand information. This is someone that is right there, that is seeing the day-to-day effects and all that is going on with this war with Russia. So without further ado, I introduce to you Pastor Alex Ilash.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to be with you at this radio show. And it is just a pleasure for me to talk with you about Ukraine. And I'm really pleased to know this fact that you, being far away from our people, from our country, being at the other continent, you're not selfish, but you're trying to think about the others who need your help these days, and not just think, but also you're trying to change, the lives. You're trying to do whatever you can to help to Ukraine, to fighting country. So once again, thank you very much. And this subject really very important for me, since I'm from there, and I'm 32 years old. I've been asked to tell a little bit about myself. So I'm 32 years old. I'm married, and I have two beautiful children, son and a daughter, Joseph and Lika. They are 9 and 8 years old. Unfortunately, currently they had to leave Ukraine for the reasons of safety. I've been able to, by the mercy of God, to move them in the beginning to Romania and then to Canada. I just been with them several weeks, and it was just a precious time after 4.5, I believe, months of separation. It was really tough for us. They are in Canada now. I am in the United States now. I'm gonna spend here a couple more months traveling around and giving some reports and updates about our ministry and what we are doing in Ukraine, since many people been concerning about situation and helping us all this time long. So yeah, here I am with you now, and I would love to talk with you about Ukraine and answer your questions.
Okay, so Alex, I want you to share because you kind of talked about you're right now, you're currently in the US and you'll be here for a few months, but you said that you were separated from your children. You got them out to Romania and then now they're in Canada and you had not seen until recently your children and your wife for 4.5 months. But talk to us a little bit about how all of that happened. I mean, you shared with Greater Grace on yesterday, and it was so powerful when you talked about your friend that told you that you need to be prepared for Russia to invade and how so many people thought it could never happen. So kind of take us through that story.
Yeah, that is not just a story for me. That is a great testimony for many lots of people in Ukraine and probably all over the world. They were very much skeptical about information that Russia is planning seriously planning to invade our country. So when we have seen that on the news, because your intelligence and intelligence of Great Britain, I believe some other countries, they were warning our leadership that these things are about to happen, and nobody believed that in our country. Same with me. So yeah, I shared with you that this story happened to me a month before the invasion. I was in Kiev, in the capital of our country, at a Christian political conference, and there was a lunch break, and I did talk with one minister, with one pastor. So we discussed different subjects, different things, and then recently he did ask me. He said, "Alex, how do you and your people there in Ismail is the city where I am from, on the very south of Ukraine." He said, "How do you and your people prepare yourself and your families for a possible Russian invasion?" And that question wasn't expected from me, and I was like, you know what, Pastor, we don't really believe that such things as Russian invasion will happen to our country in 2022. So obviously we're doing nothing. We don't believe that. And he looked at me strictly and very seriously, and he said, "Alex, from today you want to withdraw your money from ATM machine, some emergency amount for travel, for recent travel, just in case. You want to put the traveling documents together, just check if the documents are ready and everything is fine with them. Pack your suitcases for you and your family members with the most important clothing and things, and make sure your gasoline tank is always filled." And then he said that the experience of the other areas in our country on the east, such as Donetsk, Lugansk, and Crimea, that were captured by Russia back to 2014, he said experience of those areas says that the gas on the gas stations ends in 3 hours when people starting panic, and money in ATM machines ends in 2 hours when such things happening. So he said, you want to be able to, if these things happens, you want to be able to move your family, just to evacuate them to some safe spot. You want to be able to do that. And I always say that in the beginning, when I heard these advices of his opinion, I thought, wow, it is so scary, man. It's so scary, pastor. I'm not gonna need that. Such things will never happen to our country. Why would I do that? But then in a couple hours, I've heard the voice inside of me just gently saying, like, Alex, why wouldn't you follow these instructions? Does it really hard for you to withdraw money and have them be ready in your wallet? Or does it really harm you that much to put that stuff in suitcases and check the traveling documents? Is it really hard for you to refill your tank after every 100 miles? And I was thinking, like, that's simple things to do. So, and then boy said, so why wouldn't you do that? And I got back after that conference, and right next day I completed all these instructions, all these advices of that pastor. And also I was trying to warn the other people, like, gently, not to be like, like crazy scared man, but I was trying to share with them this opinion, these advices, like, what I've heard there in Kiev, and that's what I've done. So many people think that it really may happen, so why wouldn't you follow these instructions? I did tell this to some family members, some relatives, some people in the church, and to be honest, no one took those advices for serious. The people were just
Wow.
laughing. They
Nobody.
were just like, actually their reaction was like mine in the beginning, like, what are you talking about? It's not gonna happen. But when it happened on the 24th of February at 5 a.m., Russia invaded to our country. They started bombing our cities. They were going into our country from all directions, like from the north, from the east, from the south, and there was a mess. I'm telling you, that day, even in my city that hasn't been bombed, I've seen exactly what that pastor told to me. Panic just captured the people. Lines of queue on
Wow.
the gas stations and everywhere, and I was ready. I've been able to move out of country
Pastor Ellis,
the same day.
hold that thought. We're going to go to this break because, we always say preparation. When preparation meets opportunity, success happens.
Right.
And you prepared and was able to get your family out. We want you to continue that story. We're going to take this break and we'll be right back. You're listening to We Got Issues on 910 a.m. The Superstation. Our guest is Pastor Oleksandr Ilash, and we're talking about Ukraine, the war, and the gospel. We'll be right back after this break.
Yep.
All right, we are back. We are back. And today we are talking about Ukraine, the war, and the gospel. You're listening to We Got Issues on 910 a.m. The Superstation. And our guest today is Pastor Oleksandr Ilash, and he is from Ukraine. And prior to the break, he was telling us this riveting story of a pastor who shared with him that he needed to be prepared just in case Russia decided to invade. And of course, as Pastor Alex said, so many people did not believe that it was possible. Not in 2022. That's impossible. And he told them to do three things. He told them to get some money out of the ATM. He told them to pack some clothes, the things that they needed the most with his travel papers, and to make sure that his tank was filled with fuel. And at first, Pastor Alex, as he shared yesterday, was kind of skeptical. Wow, I don't know if I'm going to do it. But, I just love how God works on both ends. And he said the Spirit just told him, why wouldn't you do that? He's not even asking you to do something hard. It's very simple. And he did those things. And Pastor Alex, talk to us, how many days after you did that did the Russians invade?
Say it again. Sorry, say your question. How many days after I done that, Russia invaded? Oh, so it happened a month ago. I was at the conference a month before the invasion, so I got back home and I completed the instructions right next couple of days, and so it's almost a month. I mean, I had to refill my tank after every 100 miles again and again with almost a month, and of course sometimes I was thinking like, well, maybe these things will not happen, but I mean, I decided to obey, to be obedient to that voice, and just in case I will refill my tank.
Right.
And when every time when I was getting back home in the evening, I've seen those suitcases being packed, staying there, waiting for nobody for no reason. I was like, okay, no, just in case, let it be packed there. And it was like for a month. And then when it happened on February 24th, we've been able with my family to, after some quick calls and analysis of the situation, we've been able to make decision to leave the country. We're living on the border, in the border city. It's like 45, maybe 1.5 hour drive from our city is the border to Romania, and we've been able to move out of country the same day, cross three borders like Moldova, Ukrainian, Moldovan, and Romanian border. And when we got to Romania in the evening, I've been able to find a place for my family to stay. And by the midnight, the same day, our government issued and signed the law that men 18 to 65 years old are not allowed to leave the country.
Right.
Okay, let me stop you right. Let me stop you right there, because that's very powerful. The fact that when it hit, you were able to get out right away because you had your papers, you were packed,
Exactly.
and you had enough gas. And as you shared, the lines for the ATM were crowded. The lines for gas was crowded, but you were able. But the fact that you got out before they made the decree that any males 18 to 65 had to stay. Can you imagine if you had not been prepared?
Yeah, that was a miracle, because there were many people who were, they just late. They've been able to get some money from there and to put their gas in their tank after waiting on the long queue, and they were ready to leave. But the law was already signed. But just because I've been obedient to the voice of God and I did all of those preparations a month before, I have to waste time in the queues. I just started my journey, and I've been out of country. I crossed three borders, and when I already was in Romania, they issued the law. And the next day, I crossed the border without any problems, no queues, nothing like that, just like that. But the next day, just in 24 hours, there was thousands of people staying on the same checkpoint, waiting on their turn to leave the country, asking soldiers, border control officers to let them out, and that was a mess.
And they weren't able. Gloria, you have a question?
My goodness, I just want you to speak to the people about the fact that you listen to the voice. So many times we hear God speak, but we don't move. And the fact that that night they shut all the men down and you were able to escape, and you're now taking the fact that you're on the other side and making such a difference for your country the best way that you can is so, so impressive. But to me, I'm just so moved by the fact that you listened to the voice and you didn't ignore the voice. What was it about that stopped you from ignoring the voice?
I don't know. I would say mercy of God. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's maybe because when the voice talked to me, he talked really in the smart way. Like, is it really hard for you? Like, and like he didn't tell you to do something really, really extremely hard. It was just simple things, and just to why not? I mean, I was. It's not because of me. I was so much thankful, and I'm still being totally thankful to God, and of course to that pastor. When these things happened, and when I was in Romania, I called him and I said, "Hey, man, I mean, I'm really thankful. So much thankful that we did
Right.
talk with you that day, and I really completed your instructions." And I told him that I was trying to share these instructions with the other people, and they didn't believe. And he said, "You know what? Many people whom I told these things, they didn't believe me, and now they really regret about that."
Right. Hey, Pastor Alex, can you share? Because what people don't know, while you are here in America for a few months, what they don't know is once you got to safety and your family was safe in Romania, tell our radio listeners and our viewers what the small voice told you to do once you got there with your family.
Yeah. Well, hopefully nobody will think that I'm crazy because I got those opinions in Ukraine, when I got back there. Yeah, after I moved to my family out of Ukraine to Romania, I was there. I spent there next probably 36 hours, and then I got back to Ukraine. I mean, I was feeling lucky, and I was feeling like the grace of God is upon me, for I was able to leave Ukraine before they locked the borders for men. And I was like, Lord, thank you. I did call to that pastor saying like, thank you. And we were watching, I remember the day we were watching TV and news about Ukraine. We couldn't really sleep because we were worrying about our country and seeing all that disaster that Russians were doing to our country, destroying our cities and killing innocent people. We had that pain, and I got to pray to the kitchen. Just my wife and my kids, they were staying in the living room. I got to pray in kitchen, giving thanks to God for the opportunity to be in a safe spot with my family and praying for the peace in Ukraine and all these things. And then recently, I just heard the same voice as a month ago, gentle voice saying, "Son, I know what you feel. I see that you're grateful, but that wasn't really for you. That was for your family, for your wife and for your kids. And I just wanted you to be able to drive them in a safe place and make sure that they are all right there and they settled. But as for you, I have a ministry for you in Ukraine, and you have to get back there. And I will supply the needs. I will give whatever you need there to run that ministry, but you must get back there." And actually after what's happened to me, like I've heard that voice before a month ago saying that I have to get ready, and I've seen where it leads me to a month later. So now when I hear that voice again, I was like more confident. Then yeah, it is not in my mind. It's not what I planned to do. I wanted to stay here, or maybe to move to my family because my parents living in the United States. So I was like, maybe I have to now with my family to move to the United States or somewhere else. I had no plan to get back to Ukraine at all. But because
So,
this voice did, and I knew, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's very powerful right there. How many people can escape danger and be comfortable with their family and then listen to the voice that says it wasn't to get you out to be safe with your family. Literally, it was to get your wife and your children, but I have a work for you to go back. And I remember that you shared that when you went back, they even questioned you, like, why are you coming back? Because once you get back, you cannot go back on the other side. And so that is just so powerful that you were able to do that. And so, you know what? We're getting ready to come up against our break. But when we come back, Pastor Alex, I want you to talk about what you have been able to accomplish and how God is using you right there in Ukraine to do a work for the people that cannot get out, because God always has a purpose and a plan, and we don't understand it, because I'm sitting here saying, woo, if he had told me to go back, would I have been able to go back because of the call that he had on my life? So when we come back off of our next break, I want you to talk about the things that you all have been able to do. And then we're going to talk about some ways for those that are listening and watching, if they want to help out in this crisis, in this war, to be a blessing to our brothers and sisters there in the Ukraine. We'll talk to them about how they can support that effort. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We'll be right back after this break. All right, we are back. We are back. And you're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. And our guest today is Pastor Oleksandr Ilash. He is Ukrainian, and he is sharing with us what is going on in his country. And if you are just tuning in, he was sharing with us how he was able to get out of the country, get his family, his wife, his two lovely children safe and sound. And then the Spirit told him, but you have to go back to help the people of Ukraine. And I'm telling you, I mean, that's like one of those moments where you have to really, really trust God. And so, Pastor Ellis, can you talk to us now that you are back in Ukraine? Just talk about some of the things that you all are doing, and even how you're able to spread the gospel while you are feeding and clothing and helping other people get out of the country.
Sure, it always been the same.
Can't hear you.
All over the world. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello?
Is your phone on mute?
All right, can you hear me now?
No, we can't hear you.
Because I can hear you.
No, I'm not sure why your volume is gone.
Wow. I can hear
to-
you. I can hear you well.
Okay. And I can't hear you, Gloria.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now we can hear you. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead,
Okay.
Alex, and talk to us
from
about
my-
what you're doing.
So you can hear me now. Okay. So, it always been the same in the world when at the times of trials and problems, people, they more open to God. They really more seeking the face of God. So when I got back, even the same day, when I was crossing the border back to Ukraine, I've seen, like I told you, thousands of people from all over Ukraine who got there from hot areas, from the cities that were bombed and with the missiles launched to their facilities, to their residential apartments. They were trying to flee out of country through my city, through the same checkpoint where I was able to draw my family out. So I've seen thousands of people from all over Ukraine, and it is just a field with no facility and with a checkpoint there. And that was 26th of February, which is winter time, which is really freezing and cold. And seeing that multitudes of people, seeing them being starving, hungry, ill, scared, hopeless, with just one idea to leave the country.
Shocked.
I find the first reason, the first thing, how can I show them a love of Christ and reflect the love of Christ? So I understood that we need to organize delivery of hot drinks to make them to give them some heat and some snacks and some food. We started doing that, and on our way to the checkpoint, we were giving, with our church transportation, we were giving shuttle to people who were in our city, who were running into our city. We were giving them shuttle to the checkpoint. For many people were unable to pay to taxi drivers to get there. It costed a while. So with our church transportation, we started gathering people in the church, and it wasn't hard. People were calling us themselves, like, we hear that you're giving a ride. We're hear that you're giving a ride to the checkpoint. Are you still doing that? Where should we come? So we were gathering them in our church facility, and we were giving them a free ride and preaching the gospel to them in our church sanctuary, praying for them, for their families. And that was the first thing that we were doing. Then also we were taking care of refugees who were running into our city through the railway. 4:45 a.m. every morning, we were meeting them there with the snacks, with the water, with the New Testaments, preaching the gospel to them, praying for them, and giving them ride to the checkpoint. Also, we taking care of the soldiers who are in our area on the checkpoints around the city, around the suburbs. We were providing them at wintertime clothing, hot drinks and meals, and we were cooking it. Sisters in our church were cooking it themselves in our church kitchen. We were delivering it to them, and we're still doing it these days. Also, because of the war economy of our country is real bad, and many people, they just lost their jobs, they lost their income. So there are a lot of need, and we cooking the food, and in the center of our city we distribute that food for needy people every single day. And also,
Um,
or right now
Pastor
these days.
Alex, Pastor
Yep.
Alex, today, how many people have you and your organization? How many have you
Yeah.
been able to help get out of the country? How many people have you fed? And then talk a little bit
Yeah.
about ways that we can help. You know, a lot of our viewers and listening audience, you know, their hearts have been pricked, and this tugs at all of our heartstrings, because I can't even imagine having to pick up and to move at a moment's notice and not knowing where my next meal is going to come from. And you know, one of the things, Gloria, that was just so riveting, that Pastor Alex shared on yesterday, was the fact that they had these tremendous long lines that people were standing in, and you know, they had set up food and all this, you know, across the way, and they were wondering, you know, they are hungry, why aren't they coming to get the food? And the people were saying, we can't get out of the line. If we get out of the line to go get the food, we'll lose our spot in the line. So can you imagine standing in line, but you're hungry,
Starving.
but you don't want to get out of line? And then he said they started bringing the food to the people in the line. And he said one lady there had her children, and he wanted to give the kids some snacks. And she said no. And he was like, well, why wouldn't you want to feed them? They said, because if they eat, they're going to have to use the bathroom, and we cannot get out of line. I mean, that right there brought tears to my eyes. I just could not fathom being in
Wow.
a position like that. So Alex, you know, tell us, you know, how many people that you guys have been able to help. And then for those that are listening and watching that want to be able to support these kinds of efforts, how can they do that?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Those stories that you just shared is heartbreaking. I mean, when I hear those parents saying that we can't allow our kids eat now because we will lose our spot in the queue, and you know, they had to stay sometimes 17 to 28 hours, 17 to 28 hours in the field. You know, I mean, on the freezing day and night, it was just unbelievable and heartbreaking. Yeah, and many people, they like right now in our city, we have officially city in the suburb, we have officially 40,000 refugees from all over Ukraine who are staying
Wow.
in our city. For our city is in a safe spot, and we have, glory be to God, so far we had no bombings of our city, so that's why many people, they fleeing to our into our city. But you know, many of them they lost their lodging, they lost their jobs, they lost their income, and they are in need. You know, so the major thing that we are doing in our situation is providing daily food banks for those people, for those refugees. So every evening in our church, we giving away up to 300 grocery bags, like food banks, for 300 families every evening. And you can calculate that in a week, it's, you know, it is couple thousands per week. You know, so that is the greatest thing. And you know, everyone, each and every one of them, they're hearing the gospel, they praying with us. And I believe that this is a good time for church to act, to do these good works of good deeds. And I believe that this is what Jesus wants us to do. That what would he what that is what he would do if he would be with us these days. I believe so. And yeah, every day we're feeding them, every day we're feeding people in the center of our city. And I would say that within this 4.5 or 5 months, we've been able to give away more than 20,000 food banks for people. And also,
Wow. Food
I
banks.
I think that we have about 12,000 people who prayed with us prayer of repentance within all this time. Yeah, many of them, they moved to Europe.
Hey,
Many of them, yeah.
Alex, real quickly, you know, sometimes, you know, because we're so far removed and we're here in America and we see what the news is showing us. Sometimes it's just hard to believe what our eyes are seeing. So talk to us, is what we're seeing on, the various news outlets, is it worse than that, or is it being told
Portrayed.
to us, portrayed right exactly as it is?
If you can repeat it, because I couldn't hear you briefly. Sorry for that.
Okay, I just said what we are seeing on the news about Ukraine, is it being portrayed correctly, or is it worse than what we are seeing
on TV?
Yeah, I've heard from many people that they are not really seeing on the news much of Ukraine now. Like the news getting silent, probably because of your own problems that you have here in the United States. I mean, I understand that, but if you doesn't see us on the news, it doesn't mean that the war has been stopped in Ukraine. I mean, the problem
Alex?
is literally going up.
Right. Okay. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Some of the things that you have seen, some of the things that maybe we have not been abreast of that's happening in Ukraine. We're going to come back and have you talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing right there in Ukraine. You guys, you're tuned into We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We'll be right back after this break. Okay, we are back. We are back from our break. And if you are just now tuning in to We Got Issues, we're talking Ukraine, the war, and the gospel. Our special guest today is Pastor Alex Eilish, and he is
Ilash, it's okay.
talking about everything that is going on in Ukraine. And so, right before we took the break, we asked him about, a lot of times we see things on our news and we're not 100% sure, if it's accurately being reported. So, talk to us a little bit, Pastor Alex, about what is actually taking place on the grounds there in Ukraine.
Yeah, the most difficult thing for me when I'm there to see is to see separated families who just the men's state and their wives and kids, they are abroad in the safe spots, and men's can't get back to them to be with them. The other hard thing to see, I think they will never show it on TV here in the United States, those long queues of people who get into different donation centers like ours in the church just for food bank, just for simple stuff or simple things. Not because they're lazy, but because they just lost everything. They just lost, and they're looking for a place. When the mothers with their kids coming to our church and asking for diapers and for different hygienic items for their kids,
Right.
for vitamins, it's really heartbreaking. Just to see 300 people every evening, and it's not the same people, it's different people, different families who getting, and sometimes you can see a shame that they shy. They supposed not to do that in like half year ago. They had their normal life, and now they had to come and ask and look for these centers who will give them something. And it is really heartbreaking. I don't think that they are showing this on TV here. And the other difficult thing to see is, I've been traveling across Ukraine. I've been almost everywhere, and it is a beautiful country with the beautiful cities and with the beautiful people. And to see every day on our news the pictures, the videos of explosions and all that disaster, how our country being just destroying daily. That is really heartbreaking. And as one person said, he said that of course we are going to win in this war, but as for our people who already moved to live in Europe or to United States or to Canada, as they thought that it's temporary, he said it will be real hard to get them back, most of them, because when you
Right.
like for a year and you already started a new life, to get back to a country that has been destroyed, and it will take, I'm telling you, it will take years, maybe 10 years to rebuild that. And we are losing these days, we are losing some of our best people, and it is really heartbreaking. And of course we have most braver soldiers in the world, I believe, and we're so thankful to them that they
Pastor,
in our country. Yeah.
Pastor, I am so moved by your ability to describe what's going on. And, you started out with your statement was, I can't believe this is happening in 2022. And so many of us we're watching this and saying, this cannot be our today's world. This cannot be happening right now. In your words, because we hear it from so many people, but in your words, why is Putin and Russia coming after Ukraine the way that they are? Why Ukraine? Why now? What is your interpretation as to what he's doing, so we can bring our listeners in closer, so we can do a better job at supporting you?
Sure. Yeah. If you will research some Putin speeches, well, he is in the office since 2000, almost 22 years now. It was just a short break, but officially he was in the office even those 5 years. But anyway, if you will research some of his speeches through this year, 22 years, you will see that quite often he was saying publicly to the on the different interviews, he was saying that on his point of view, the biggest tragedy of 20th century was the collapse of Soviet Union, USSR.
Yeah.
That's his agenda. That's what he believed. We were like one big country, atheistic, communistic country, where Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, and altogether 16 different republics, as far as I remember, they were together like the part of one
Right.
country. That's his agenda. That's his idea. That's
To bring
we
it back
think that
together.
we think that he has agenda in his mind, and this is his historical mission to recreate that godless atheistic country, to put those 16 republics back together. And Ukraine is a major country of those republics, and I
Right.
would say most richest, with huge resources, and just geographically we are very in good position, with close by Black
Right.
Sea, and with a lots of grain, and export to all over the
Right.
world. So he just decided to start from Ukraine, and I'm telling you, if we wouldn't be able to stop him today, some people might think that his goal is only Ukraine. No, he's gonna go to Poland. He's gonna go to Baltic
Right.
states. He's gonna go to
Right.
Georgia. He's gonna go everywhere he can, just to he's imperialistic minded. He wants to build empire. So these days it's very important for the rest of the countries who might think that this is not their war. They have to change their
Right.
mind, because if he won Ukraine today, if Ukraine will lost, he's not gonna stop. And that's very important. That United States today, these days, they are helping our country tremendously with the weapons. For we have our brave soldiers. All we need is just good weapons to fight Putin and his army, and to to drive them back out of our country, and as long as the other countries will help us timely, not
Yes.
when it's really late, but now when we have soldiers, when we have opportunity, if they will help us with the weapons, with the right weapons that our government, our president requiring, I believe we're gonna win in this war, and we will the Putin will be defeated, and his plans.
Absolutely. So, and that is so important that what you said, Pastor Alex, is that it's Ukraine today and it's Poland tomorrow. So
Correct.
it's not that he's going to stop. He has an agenda, and we absolutely have to know that this is just the beginning of his agenda. I can't believe that the music is playing. This hour has gone by so fast, but I want to thank you, Pastor Alex, for your servant's heart, for
That's my pleasure.
spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, along with feeding and clothing and doing those things that Jesus told us that we needed to do. And so our prayers are with you, with your country, and we just pray that you all will absolutely come out and win this war. We absolutely have to have you come back and keep us abreast of what's going on. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see all of the ways that you can donate to help this cause in the Ukraine. Thank you so much for your time on today. Again, thank you, Pastor Alex, for all that you're doing in
My
Ukraine.
pleasure.
You
Thank
guys,
you very
you've
much
been
for
listening to We Got
opportunity.
Issues with the Force of Friendship. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 to 7 p.m. Ciao, ciao. Goodbye, everybody.